There are mornings when the weight of existence presses down, like concrete. Your phone buzzes with notifications. Light creeps through the blinds. Yet something inside you has shut down completely, refusing to participate in the performance everyone expects. You're not depressed in the clinical sense. You're not giving up on life. You're experiencing something far more complex, something most people will never understand. This is the burden of the spiritually awakened. The exhaustion that comes from seeing too much, feeling too deeply, carrying responsibilities that aren't even yours to bear. If this message found its way to you today, that's not coincidence. That's divine timing. You're here because your soul recognizes this frequency. You've been fighting battles in dimensions most people don't even know exist, carrying burdens that would crush ordinary spirits, yet somehow you're still breathing. Before we go deeper into this truth, if these words are already stirring something inside you, hit that like button right now. Subscribe because every piece of content here speaks directly to your awakened consciousness. And drop the number 777 in the comments below. In spiritual numerology, 777 represents the completion of a divine cycle, the end of one phase, and the beginning of your true emergence. Are you ready for what comes next? They see you lying still and assume you've lost motivation. They whisper about laziness, about giving up, about wasting potential. But they have no comprehension of the invisible war raging inside your chest every single moment. They don't hear the constant download of collective pain flooding your nervous system. They don't feel the spiritual pressure that builds in your temples when you walk into certain spaces. They don't understand that your stillness isn't surrender, it's survival. You're not motionless because you lack drive. You're frozen because your soul is processing information at frequencies that would overwhelm most human consciousness. Every day you wake up carrying not just your own pain, but the unexpressed grief of everyone around you. The suppressed fear in your family line. The generational trauma echoing through your DNA. The collective anxiety of a world that's forgotten how to be still. This isn't ordinary tiredness. This is spiritual saturation. You've become a lightning rod for energies most people unconsciously deflect, and now your system is overloaded. People offer surface solutions. Exercise more. Get outside. Think positive thoughts. But they don't realize you're not dealing with a motivation problem. You're dealing with a capacity problem. Your sensitivity wasn't designed to be numbed or ignored. It was designed to be understood and channeled. Yet everywhere you turn, the message is the same. Fix yourself. Change your attitude. Stop being so intense. But what if the problem isn't your intensity? What if the problem is that you're operating in a world that fears depth, that runs from truth, that mistakes sensitivity for weakness? You've learned to hide your gift behind masks of normalcy because the alternative is being labeled as too much, too dramatic, too complicated for most relationships. But here's what nobody tells you about carrying this level of awareness. It's not just a gift. It's an assignment. You didn't choose to feel everything. You were chosen to transmute everything. Every emotion that passes through your system, every energy you absorb, every pain you carry, it's all being transformed through your consciousness into something higher. You're not just experiencing these feelings. You're alchemizing them, turning poison into medicine, converting darkness into light. This is why rest doesn't always restore you. Because regular rest is designed for regular people, and you are anything but regular. You need something deeper than sleep. You need soul restoration, the kind that only comes from understanding your true purpose. Keep watching because what I'm about to reveal will change how you see your exhaustion forever. The reason you can't shake this feeling isn't because something is wrong with you. It's because something is awakening in you that the world has been waiting for. Your sensitivity isn't your weakness. It's your superpower in disguise. You've always known you were different. Even as a child, you picked up on things others missed. The tension in a room before anyone spoke. The sadness behind someone's smile. The shift in energy when lies were being told. You felt the emotional weather of every space you entered, and nobody taught you how to navigate that gift. Instead, they taught you to doubt it. They convinced you that what you were sensing wasn't real, that you were reading too much into things, that you needed to develop thicker skin. But thick skin was never the answer. Understanding was. You see, most people walk through life with natural filters. They unconsciously block out the deeper currents of emotion and energy that flow beneath surface interactions. It's a survival mechanism that allows them to function without being overwhelmed by the complexity of human experience. But you were born without those filters, or with filters so thin they might as well not exist. This means you experience life at full intensity all the time. The joy hits harder. The pain cuts deeper. The beauty moves you to tears, and the ugliness can paralyze you completely. This isn't a malfunction. This is your design. You were built to be a receiver, a translator, a bridge between worlds that most people can't even perceive. Think about the people who have gravitated toward you throughout your life. The broken ones seeking healing. The lost ones needing direction. The desperate ones requiring hope. They found you not by accident, but by spiritual GPS. Your energy signature calls to wounded souls like a beacon in the darkness. This is why your social battery drains so quickly. This is why you need so much alone time to recharge. This is why small talk feels like torture and surface relationships leave you feeling emptier than solitude. You weren't created for shallow waters. You were designed for the depths. But the cost of operating at this frequency is immense. While others can compartmentalize their emotions, yours bleed into each other. While others can ignore their intuition, yours screams so loudly it keeps you awake at night. While others can pretend everything is fine, your body rebels against any form of spiritual inauthenticity. This is why you feel so tired. Not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to carry what others can't even see. The spiritual realm recognizes your capacity and keeps adding to your load. More insights, more downloads, more awareness of problems that need solutions, more visions of possibilities that could exist if only someone would act. And that someone always seems to be you. You feel responsible for healing that isn't yours to heal, for fixing what isn't yours to fix, for awakening people who aren't ready to wake up. This hypervigilance, this over-responsibility, this constant state of spiritual emergency is what's keeping you in bed. Your soul is staging a rebellion against the impossible standards you've internalized. But what if I told you that your exhaustion is actually a form of spiritual intelligence? What if your need to withdraw is your consciousness protecting itself from further overwhelm while it processes everything it has absorbed? What if your inability to function normally is actually your refusal to participate in a system that denies the depth of who you are? Stay with me because in the next part, I'm going to show you how your bedroom has become ground zero for a war most people don't even know is happening. And once you understand the true nature of this battle, you'll never see your need for solitude the same way again. Your bedroom should be a sanctuary, but has become a battlefield. The moment your head hits the pillow, that's when they arrive. Not with fanfare or obvious attacks, but with whispers that sound exactly like your own thoughts. You're falling behind while everyone else moves forward. You're wasting your life lying here. You're disappointing everyone who believes in you. These aren't random negative thoughts. They're targeted spiritual warfare designed to attack you at your most vulnerable moment. When your defenses are down, when your mind is quiet, when you're finally alone with yourself. The enemy knows that direct confrontation won't work with someone as spiritually aware as you. So instead, he plants seeds of doubt that grow in the fertile soil of your exhaustion. He whispers lies that feel like truth because they're mixed with just enough reality to be believable. Yes, you are tired. Yes, you are struggling. Yes, things feel overwhelming right now. But the conclusions he wants you to draw from these facts, that's where the deception lives. He wants you to believe that your tiredness means you're failing, that your struggle means you're weak, that your overwhelm means you're not cut out for your calling. But let me tell you what's really happening in that bed. You're not just resting your body. You're downloading divine strategies. You're receiving spiritual intelligence. You're being prepared for assignments that require you to understand suffering from the inside out. Every hour you spend in apparent inactivity is actually deep spiritual processing. Your consciousness is integrating experiences, healing trauma, and preparing for emergence. This isn't laziness. This is metamorphosis. Think about the caterpillar that disappears into the cocoon. From the outside, it looks like death, like giving up, like complete inactivity. But inside that seemingly lifeless shell, the most incredible transformation in nature is taking place. The caterpillar isn't failing to be a caterpillar. It's becoming something entirely different. Something that can fly. Something that can see the world from perspectives impossible in its previous form. This is what's happening to you in that bed. You're not dying. You're becoming. The spiritual realm operates on different timelines than the physical world. What looks like stagnation to human eyes might be rapid acceleration in divine dimensions. Your soul is being upgraded with new capacities, new sensitivities, new abilities to perceive and interact with reality. But upgrades require downtime. They require periods of apparent inactivity while new programming is installed. This is why you feel so different when you finally do emerge from these periods of withdrawal. You're literally not the same person who went into isolation. You've been changed at the cellular level. During these times of forced stillness, pay attention to what comes through. The insights that arrive without effort. The solutions that appear without struggle. The creative ideas that flow without forcing. This is heaven's way of communicating with you when the noise of daily life can't interfere. Your bedroom isn't just where you sleep. It's your receiving station for divine transmission. But the enemy wants to convince you it's your prison cell, your failure chamber, your place of shame. Don't let him reframe your sanctuary. God meets you in that quiet space not to condemn your need for rest, but to minister to your weary soul. Not to rush you back into activity, but to restore you for sustainable service. He knows that pushing yourself beyond your capacity isn't holiness, it's pride. He knows that your worth isn't determined by your productivity, but by your willingness to remain connected to your source even when everything else falls away. The next time you find yourself unable to leave that bed, instead of fighting it, try blessing it. Thank your body for demanding the rest your soul desperately needs. Thank your spirit for refusing to compromise its integrity by pretending to be fine when you're not. Thank God for meeting you in the place where you feel most vulnerable and least impressive. Because it's often in these moments of complete surrender that the most profound healing occurs. But don't get comfortable in the cocoon forever, because transformation has a completion point. And what you're becoming will require you to eventually unfold your wings. Keep watching to discover the signs that your metamorphosis is nearly complete and you're about to emerge with capabilities you never knew you possessed. Your hypersensitivity isn't a personality flaw that needs correction. It's a spiritual gift that needs understanding. While others skim across the surface of life, you dive deep into the emotional and energetic undercurrents that shape reality. You feel what they feel before they even know they're feeling it. You sense the unspoken tensions, the hidden fears, the secret hopes that people carry but never express. This isn't psychic ability in the mystical sense. This is spiritual intelligence in its purest form. You walk into a room and immediately know who's in pain, who's pretending, who's genuinely at peace. You can sense when someone's words don't match their energy, when their smile doesn't reach their spirit, when their confidence is masking deep insecurity. This gift allows you to offer exactly what people need before they even ask for it. But it also means you're constantly processing emotional information that would overwhelm most nervous systems. The problem isn't that you feel too much. The problem is that you've been taught to carry too much. There's a difference between perceiving someone's pain and absorbing it as your own. Between recognizing someone's struggle and taking responsibility for solving it. Between having compassion for someone's journey and hijacking their growth by trying to rescue them from necessary lessons. You've confused sensitivity with codependency, and now you're drowning in emotions that were never yours to manage. Learning to feel without absorbing is one of the most crucial skills you can develop as a spiritually sensitive person. It's the difference between being a clear channel for divine love and becoming a dumping ground for everyone else's unhealed trauma. You can acknowledge what you're picking up from others without making it your mission to fix, heal, or carry their burdens. Your gift is meant to guide your prayers, not govern your peace. When you sense someone's sadness, you can pray for their comfort without becoming sad yourself. When you detect someone's fear, you can ask for their protection without becoming afraid. When you feel someone's anger, you can request their healing without becoming angry. This is how you honor your sensitivity without being destroyed by it. You become a spiritual translator rather than an emotional sponge. But this level of discernment requires strong boundaries, something most sensitive people struggle to maintain. You've probably been told that boundaries are selfish, that loving people means being available to them at all times, that saying no reveals a hard heart. But healthy boundaries aren't walls that keep love out. Hey, filters that allow love to flow while preventing toxic energy from contaminating your spirit. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't heal from a wounded place. The guilt you feel when you prioritize your own well-being over others' immediate needs isn't conviction from God. It's conditioning from a world that benefits from your self-sacrifice. There's a difference between biblical servanthood and unhealthy people-pleasing. Jesus withdrew from the crowds regularly to recharge his spiritual batteries. He didn't heal every sick person he encountered or solve every problem he was capable of addressing. He operated within divine boundaries that preserve his energy for his primary assignment. Your sensitivity is meant to enhance your ministry, not exhaust it. When you learn to receive impressions without absorbing emotions, to feel deeply without drowning in the depths, to care intensely without carrying impossibly, you become an incredibly powerful vessel for divine love. But this requires practice, intention, and often periods of complete withdrawal while you recalibrate your spiritual discernment. This is why your current season of isolation is so important. You're not just hiding from the world. You're learning to engage with it from a place of spiritual strength rather than emotional reactivity. You're developing the capacity to remain centered in your own energy while still being moved by compassion for others. This is advanced spiritual training, disguised as breakdown. In our final segment, we'll explore what happens when you emerge from this cocoon season with your boundaries intact and your sensitivity refined. Because what you're becoming will revolutionize not just your own life, but the lives of everyone you're called to touch. Your transformation is almost complete. There comes a moment in every spiritual journey when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of changing. When the cost of hiding becomes higher than the risk of emerging. When the exhaustion of pretending finally outweighs the fear of authenticity. You're approaching that moment now, even if you can't feel it yet. Even if everything inside you still feels broken and uncertain and unprepared. The truth is, you're not meant to emerge perfect. You're not meant to wait until you feel completely healed before you start living again. You're not meant to postpone your purpose until you've resolved every internal conflict and answered every spiritual question. Perfection was never the requirement. Willingness was. Availability was. The courage to show up as you are, where you are, with what you have right now. Your story of struggle isn't something to hide once you feel better. It's something to share while you're still healing. Because the people who need what you carry don't need your perfection. They need your process. They need to know that someone else has felt what they're feeling, has survived what they're surviving, has found hope in the darkest places they currently inhabit. Your mess becomes your message not after you clean up, but while you're still wiping away the tears. This is why your current season of difficulty has been so intense. You're not just healing for yourself. You're healing for everyone who will one day need to hear your story to believe that their own healing is possible. Every tear you've cried has watered seeds of hope in someone else's desert. Every prayer you've whispered in desperation will one day become a testimony that saves someone else's life. Every dark night you've survived prepares you to be a lighthouse for others lost in similar storms. But you have to survive to share it. You have to make it through to help others make it through. You have to choose to keep going even when you don't know where you're going, or why the journey has been so difficult, or when the destination will finally appear. Faith isn't believing you'll never face problems. Faith is believing that problems aren't permanent, that pain has purpose, that your current chapter isn't your final story. The very fact that you're still here, still seeking, still open to hope despite everything you've endured, proves that something inside you refuses to give up. That something is your divine spark, your connection to the eternal, your participation in a story much larger than your individual struggles. That spark has sustained you through nights when you wanted to disappear, through days when breathing felt like burden, through seasons when you couldn't see any reason to continue. Trust that spark. Honor that spark. Follow that spark even when it's the only light you can see. Because it's connected to the same source that speaks stars into existence and breathes life into dead situations and specializes in resurrections that no one sees coming. Your comeback might not look like you expected. It might be quieter than you hoped, messier than you planned, slower than you wanted. But it will be authentic to who you're becoming rather than who you used to be. You're not returning to your old life with new strategies. You're stepping into a completely new life with hard-won wisdom. You're not going back to the person you were before this trial. You're emerging as someone you've never been before, but were always meant to become. The caterpillar doesn't become a better caterpillar. It becomes something entirely different that can do things the caterpillar never dreamed possible. So when you do rise from this season of seeming inactivity, don't apologize for the time it took. Don't explain yourself to people who weren't present for your process. Don't minimize the magnitude of what you've survived or rush to prove that you're all better now. Take your time. Move at your own pace. Honor the transformation that has taken place in the hidden places of your heart. And remember this, your struggle qualifies you for your assignment. Your pain prepared you for your purpose. Your breakdown is becoming your breakthrough. Not despite what you've been through, but because of it. The world doesn't need another perfect person with easy answers. The world needs another healed person with real hope. Another wounded warrior who learned to fight from their knees. Another broken vessel that discovered beauty in the cracks. That's who you're becoming. That's why you're still here. That's what makes your story sacred. If this message resonated with your spirit, if you felt seen and understood, and less alone in your struggle, I want you to do something powerful right now. Type, "I choose to rise" in the comments below. Not because you feel ready. Not because you have all the answers. But because something inside you still believes that your story isn't over, that your purpose isn't canceled, that your pain isn't pointless. Let those words be your declaration that no matter how long it takes, no matter how slow the process, no matter how uncertain the outcome, you're choosing hope over despair, faith over fear, emergence over hiding. Your transformation is almost complete. Your wings are almost ready. Your time is almost here.